seeing you, man, but I'm surprised I am. You've been all over the place. How's this tour been for you so far?
Tour has been amazing. This morning I was in Beaton, Ontario, which
What?
is around
Wait,
Alice,
wait, wait, wait,
Bradford.
wait. Wait a second. I've lived in Ontario practically my whole life. What is this called? Because I've never heard of this.
Beaton, Beeton. And there happened to be a snowstorm this morning. So I saw cars in the ditches. I got off the 400. I'm taking side roads, just driving on ice. But I made it in time. I performed for kindergarten to grade three. I had a 5 minute break. Then I did four to grade eight. And then I got in my car and I drove into Toronto by the junction and just rocked a performance in front of 500 plus students at Runnymede School.
See, this is why you're a Guinness Book of World Records holder, man. I mean, to have that kind of energy is absolutely there it is, man. There's the proof. It says it all, man. Um,
But can I
can you,
just say, add one more thing?
yeah, please.
I was gonna say, I love wrestling because
Here we go.
one of the books here, I don't have the cover for it anymore, is Bret Hart.
Yes.
And one thing about if you're a wrestler, especially back in the day, not so much anymore,
Hmm.
you had to perform all the time, tired, driving all night long, but you always do the show and you always bring your best to every performance. And I'm proud of myself and the fact that I always bring my A game every single day.
You know what? And I'm glad you brought that up because really, what you did today is exactly what wrestlers back in the day had to do. They would do 2 to 3 performances
Yeah.
um, a day. I could even speak from even when I was hosting um, the CCW at the CNE.
Mm.
These guys were doing 3 shows a day at the CNE and then would have to drive out into a town and do another show and
Yeah.
then come back and do this all over again. And it shows their dedication, it shows your dedication. But there's something I would love for you to bring up before we start talking about music and books and everything else. You posted something recently about you were at a school and you were signing, I think it was 150 autographs. You're getting ready to sign. You know
Mm.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the story? Because I think it's really cool.
Yeah. One of the things that I love to do is I love to encourage youth to read.
Yeah.
And so at the end of my presentations, because I give out prizes, posters, and CDs, I say I have something for everybody who likes to read, a bookmark. And I will leave enough bookmarks in the office so that teachers can pick up enough for their students. But at the school the other day, it was a small school, 150 students. And before I had started, a couple people asked me for an autograph, and then a few more people did. So I said to the principal, how about I just sign everybody in the school? And it was so nice that there was a nice lineup just as they were leaving and signed them for the kindergarten kids, and they're on their way. And it is a little bit of promotion. You can find my Instagram on here. But really, what I love hearing back from youth is I'll see somebody who's like, you came to my school like 10 years ago. I still have the bookmark. I say, do you use it? Yeah, I actually do. And I think it's just really important for youth to read. So anything I can do to encourage that.
I would definitely agree with that. My thing is I love autobiographies. That's what gets
Mm,
me reading. I love to know the stories that I'm reading
yeah,
is actually happened to this person. So just to throw that out there, if you're not into fiction, if you're into autobiographies, if you're not into autobiographies, into fiction, science, doesn't matter, science fiction doesn't matter. Reading a hardcover book like you have behind you or paperback
yeah,
can make a big difference in somebody's life. I really believe that.
definitely. Because, especially if you're somebody who doesn't feel that they have a lot of mentors in their life. I was blessed. I have a mother and a father that were present in my life. I have family members that I could look up to. But some people will say, well, I don't have that, Dio. Or I don't know these famous people that you get to meet. Like Rudy, you've met some of the most famous people ever. But everybody has the opportunity to learn from somebody by reading their book. I never got a chance to meet Quincy Jones, but I got his book right there. And
I
when you
I I
immerse
met I
yourself
met
into an
Quincy Jones.
autobiography,
Just so you
but
know, I met Quincy Jones.
you see, but when you immerse yourself in the autobiography, then it's almost like you're having a cup of tea, a coffee with them, and you're just sitting back listening. So I always encourage not just young people, anyone, to read a book, especially nowadays, because if you want to just go through a rabbit hole on Netflix and doom scrolling on social media, no, it's important to focus and concentrate.
This really leads into new music that you're coming out with because this kind of is the subject, correct?
Well, I learned from the greatest. Yeah, my new song is called Learn from the Greatest. And I learn from the greatest by reading, by having people in my life as mentors. And what I really wanted to showcase for listeners is some of the stories of Black Canadian history, but also to say that you can do this yourself. I always think that that's one of the most powerful things about music. Michael Jackson was always my favorite artist. I remember as a kid listening to Man in the Mirror. And I realized when I listened to that song, I would often sing it directly into a mirror as if it was my words. I'm asking myself to make a change. And the power of music is a mantra. So I wanted people to hear it and say, well, I learned from the greatest. Yes, I might be 10 years old in Sarnia, Ontario, but I learned from a lot of great people. And now I'm going to try to do it myself, whether it's being an athlete, being a musician, achieving well academically, but you always learn from people. And, with everything going on politically around the world, I think it's important for people to learn from good sources, good role models, good mentors.
I agree with that. You're not performing this on your own, are you?
I'm not. I reached out to my man O Sound, and I became familiar with O Sound through his work with Classified. But then I just started seeing his music. And so when I wrote the song, I said, that's the voice that I want, you
Yeah.
know? And that voice and that soul that projects through from O Sound, I just thought was absolutely incredible. And it was funny that last year when I was in Nova Scotia, I happened to go to his kids' school. So it's a full circle moment.
Now, this single is going to be on an upcoming album, correct?
That's right. Just to finish the story.
Okay.
Nowadays, a lot of artists don't make albums as much anymore. And I love listening to an artist's album. I still do. So what I wanted to do was release singles that lead up to the album, which is called Just to Finish the Story. Because I know you're an interviewer and you're a skilled interviewer because you know not to always just interrupt somebody and cut them off and tell your own story. But as a conversationalist, myself, as a storyteller, sometimes when you tell a story, somebody interrupts and they add something to it, but then they tell their own story, which is fine. And I'll listen to it. But then I'll always say, just to finish the story, and then I will conclude my story. And so I just feel that, you know, it's hard for people to access music nowadays as far as finding out things. There's just so much clutter, so much noise. But I always wanted to say this is my 25th year of being a professional artist. Been 23 years since I set a Guinness World Record, and my story is not done. We're just at the middle point right now.
Absolutely. And you got a book coming out too.
I've got a book, and I'm so excited about the book because it's about the flow state. And I call it getting into the flow zone. And I came up with that because people ask me, how did you set a Guinness World Record? You rap for 8 hours and 45 minutes. How? I don't remember because I was in flow state, which is something I tell youth when they're reading a book. A lot of the times, well, Dio, I don't like reading. I get tired. But have you ever read a book more than 15 minutes? Yeah. And then did you get into it? Yeah. Did you ever have a time where you were reading and you actually read for an hour and you didn't realize it? Yeah. And that's to me getting in flow state. Just like an athlete when they're shooting three pointers and they're going in, or a goalie in hockey when the puck seems to slow down. So, how do you get into flow state? And talking about it from a hip hop perspective of stories from hip hop, whether it's Nipsey Hussle or Biggie or Nas, but also speaking from a musical standpoint, whether it's Michael Jackson or athletes, different techniques to help you get in the flow state, whether you're a kid, whether you're in university, whether you're a business professional, an entrepreneur, anybody who really wants to tap into that flow state more.
I'm curious, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book.
All-time
Hmm.
favorite book.
Yeah, actually, that's easy. The cover's knocked off, but I'm wearing the hat.
Mhm.
The autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yes.
And what I love about it, this copy is I've got the highlights in. I used to have the highlighter. And I always come back to it because I remember when Malcolm X was popular in the 1990s. People wore X hats. Spike Lee made a movie. Denzel was in it. But it made me pick up this book, and it was kind of a coming of age for me because I was about 15 years old, and the words really resonated with me and they stuck with me because it showed me the power of transformation and reinvention, that people thought they knew who Malcolm was, or Malcolm Little, or Detroit Red as a hustler. But even in adverse conditions in prison, he changed himself. He made himself into a whole new person, and he was able to inspire people around the world. And even though he's been past more than 50 years, continues to inspire people today.
I
So the
agree with you.
autobiography of Malcolm X, my favorite book.
I agree with you, and I want people to know. First off, I did read the book myself. I have a copy myself too. Um, Back then, we didn't have cell phones or
Yeah.
laptops to be able to learn about these things. And because at that time, as you would remember, we weren't taught these things in
Yeah.
school. We had to go out to bookstores to find this information because it would even be sometimes it wouldn't even be in our libraries.
No, you know, and it's funny when you mention that because one of the things that I speak about in my Black Canadian show is I talk about Jean Augustine
Mm.
and I talk about Black History Month in Canada. Because when I say it happened in 1995, for kids, they still think that's a long time ago, but it's not that long ago. And so the fact that we didn't have a Black History Month until I was halfway through high school shows that the access to some of these books, there was no Googling the information, but you did have some bookstores like a different book list or the world's biggest bookstore back in the day. But I loved growing up in Sarnia, Ontario, because I was on the border to Michigan. And if you went to Barnes and Noble, they had an African American study section, which I would devour.
I miss the world's biggest bookstore. That was my
Right?
place to always go to. Oh man. You have so much going on. Any chance we're gonna see you at the Junos since it's gonna be in Hamilton?
I know. I'm trying my best to get out to Hamilton. It's going to be a very busy time, but I think we might be able to make some magic happen. One group that is nominated, I won't share their name, but they've asked me because they're on tour at the time. They said, "Do, if we win the award, will you go up and give us a speech?" So I guess I might have to show up because I think they got a good chance of winning.
Well, just so you know, man, I already booked my hotel. I'm gonna be down there Saturday, Sunday. So
Oh, beautiful.
I hope to God I get a chance to see you because I didn't see you last year in Vancouver. I didn't go
No, I
Vancouver.
was that was one of the first ones I hadn't been to.
Same here. Same here. I didn't go to Vancouver, but we saw each other
Oh,
Halifax.
many times. I remember seeing
Yes.
you in Ottawa, and that was
Yeah.
over 10 years ago now.
Yeah. No, they were all good times. So I'm hoping I'm going to see
Yeah.
you. Look, brother, I'm going to let you go so you can get some rest. Thank you so much for doing the interview. Happy Black
Oh,
History Month. Always love
appreciate
and
that.
respect in everything that you're doing. Cross fingers, man. I'll be running into you in Halifax.
Oh, yeah.